Juzi huyu Kasongo amesema that he should be judged on his record.
Look, I think Rigathi Gachagua is only doing in broad daylight what politicians do at night.
We agree, Kasongo, the people of Nakuru, the people of Kenya will judge you on your own record. Your record, Kasongo, is abduction and extrajudicial killing of young people.
Across major towns, opposition leaders are mobilizing supporters with unprecedented energy. These rallies aren't just for show, they reflect growing public sentiments. Analysts note this surge may be driven by frustration over economic pressure, criticism of government policies, a rising desire among citizens to make their voices heard. In politics, visible momentum matters. Large crowds don't just create noise. They create influence, perception, signal strength, and inspire others to join.
Kisii oye! Hatujaanza mkutano. Nataka nisikize ground. Hapa Kisii, munasemaje? Hapa Kisii, munasemaje?
However, the crowd size alone does not equal to electoral victory. President William Ruto continues to project stability, reminding the nation that Kenya's democracy is a strong and political competition is part of the functioning system.
Maandamano makubwa yalitikisa serikali yako mwezi Juni. Sasa yamepungua. Unaamini hasira za vijana zimekwisha ama wameamua tu kwa sasa?
Sisi ni nchi ya demokrasia. You know, kama ungeenda katika nchi zingine katika bara letu la Afrika, hawangeruhusu watu wafanye maandamano. Kwa sababu sisi ni nchi demokrasia. Sisi tunaamini ya kwamba ni vizuri wananchi wajitokeze, watoe maoni yao. Yale ambayo tu tunataka kuzuia ni uharibifu wa mali.
History shows us that the emotional enthusiasm is temporary if not backed by an organization, a strategy, and sustained political engagement. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua maintains a high public profile, drawing his own energized supporters. Analysts see this as early positioning, either for coalition influence or future electoral maneuvering. So the big question is, are these rallies a sign of genuine political change or just a passing surge of public frustration?
This is a watershed question. You know, there is something our regulators tell us called watershed, that you cannot run certain kind of pictures until after 10 p.m. and not later than 5 a.m. You know, by 5 a.m. you should be done with such content. But here is a politician who has consistently worn ethnicity as a badge of honor when it comes to how to execute campaign politics. But, and Canon, the question should be, why was it not alarming in the earlier stages of his life, if I can call it that? Rigathi Gachagua was perhaps the most divisive deputy president this country can ever get. But for the year that he was in office, it was left for him to speak as though that is government positions. Nobody contradicted him. Not anybody in UDA. In fact, they were praising him as a warrior, you know, as did somebody in North Rift say this is the best deputy president would have ever gotten? Son of Mau Mau and all that. He was a hero those days when he was in government. But, you know, like maybe a successful, what do we call this, companies that make biscuits, you know. What is decided to do is now avail it in small packages. Yes. You know, go to Bomet, and there was that interesting stop in, was it in Bomet or was it in, I think it's Mulot.
Mulot, yes.
Where he stopped, and you know, it shocks, it tells, and these are the Kalenjin members, the community of the president, that you've been sidelined, you know, and he sells it at an ethnic level. Now, there is also a fact that people in this country, politicians in this country, use ethnicity as the currency. That is how you can communicate with the ground. Of course, it is dangerous, and of course, it is unfortunate, especially for the younger generations, because they know that this is not what Kenya is about. And there's an experiment, and I think, was it within this show that we said some time back, that let this experiment play out to the end. Let's see. Because in 2013 and 2017, there was Kumi Yangu, Kumi Yako, and this was a Kikuyu Kalenjin affair. It wasn't a national strategy. It was a 2 blocks affair where, you know, Uhuru Kenyatta from Mount Kenya, the Kikuyu community, and William Ruto from the Kalenjin community are saying, take 10 years and I'll take 10 years. Purely ethnic. Yeah. And I've seen the president now asking everyone to think nationally and avoid ethnicity. Let this experiment be completed. And I think it has been completed in a way in some places, especially in Mount Kenya and Kalenjin land. You've tested it. It's not really about your community. If a government is not competent, if your government is not efficient in delivery of services, in keeping promises, it doesn't matter that you share the ethnic blood, you'll feel the pain. You know, in 2022, well, just before, in the campaigns in the run-up to the presidential elections, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was elected as Kamwana, the great savior of Mount Kenya, was being insulted by pro-Ruto people from Mount Kenya. He was no longer Kamwana. He was something else, a betrayer and all that. It is because at the end of the day, you have to judge government by its performance. It's not an ethnic festival. Oh. It's not. You don't judge the dances or the fluency in speaking your language. It is, can somebody mold a national entity called government that can deliver services to everybody? We've all discovered, and I think the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu discovered, that you can't have 2 economies. One for those who won the elections and one for those who didn't win the elections. It is one economy. The shilling, the strength of the shilling will be exactly the same. The prices of commodities will be exactly the same, regardless how you voted. So for the ethnic community, especially this big 5 that like testing it all the time, please enjoy the experiment, and when you're done, invite the rest of Kenyans. Yeah.
You know, we also need to decide.
Because in politics, momentum is only meaningful if it translates into structure, strategy, and endurance. Streets may roar today, the banners may wave, and the chants may echo, but politics rewards patience, strategy, and organization. Will today's energy shape tomorrow's elections, or will it fade into memory? Drop your thoughts below, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay with Kenya Politics channel, where the context is more important than noise.